dogs barking in the background. It's funny, they haven't barked all day, and then as soon as my introduction comes, they know that's their cue. So thanks for bearing with me on this, you guys. I am super excited to show this to everyone today. I'm going to sound like a super nerd throughout this whole thing because this is a game changer. This is something where if you are using a software, an older desktop-based software, or if you're trying to do bids by hand and you just can't get them out fast enough, this is going to speed everything up. It's going to make life easier, and it's kind of fun. So I hope you guys will think the same. I am going to jump right in and show you guys what we have here. First and foremost, Stack, really our claim to fame is that this thing is 100% cloud-based, meaning we can use it on any device, anywhere around the world at any time. A lot of these, you're going to be tied down to your desktop computer at work. You've got to stay there. But with today's world, we've got to be mobile. We've got to be able to work from home with COVID going on. We've got to be able to pull this stuff out in the field. So this will allow you to do that from any of these devices that you guys have. What we're looking at right now, and can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so think of this calendar that we're all looking at right now as home base. So here's where we'll be able to load in our projects, figure out when projects are due, what status they're in, if they're bidding, if they're won, if they're pending some type of approval. So it's really going to help you organize the day a lot better. But let's go ahead and jump in and we'll start loading in a project here. And I will just name this Suzanne's project. Our bid date, our bid time, any notes that we've got on the project. And then under show more options here, if you're the only person doing the estimating, kind of holding down the estimating for it, you'll be the only person listed on this. But if you've got multiple estimators, their names would be here too, which is nice because you can assign some of that work that's on your plate often to somebody else's. They can help you out with those bids, but you can still have control and kind of see what's going on, make sure that project's getting done the way that you would get it done. Status, address, I'll skip over this stuff for now, pretty self-explanatory for our projects. Now, regardless of where you are getting plans, this can be from several different places, whether someone's sending you a link or they're emailing it over, or if you guys are using bid sources like SmartBid, Dodge, PlanHub, we're actually partnered with a lot of those. So if you see an open in Stack button and anything you guys click it, the pages are already going to be uploaded for you. They're already going to be named for you. Life's going to be a lot easier. I am just going to grab something from my desktop here, and we'll pull in a set of plans. Awesome. All right, the great thing about this, we were built by a commercial contractor, very simple man. He just wanted to keep it that way. So the software definitely reflects that simplicity. Anyone can really get in here, learn the 5 main buttons that we have, and start using it. A lot of softwares that I've tried to look at and learn, there's 60 main buttons on that front page, and it's kind of defeating when you look at it and know that you need to know all of those. So in here, there's going to be 5 that I teach you guys today. If you know those 5, you can get through this whole thing very, very easily. First one is going to be plans. This is one of my favorite buttons. It's probably going to be one of your favorites as well. I know sometimes you guys get hundreds of plan pages and all you're trying to do is find the walls or find the roofing, just find your trade. Instead of sorting through this stuff page by page, all y'all have to do is type in what you're looking for. We'll look for a wall, hit search. That'll scan through hundreds of pages at a time and just give you the pages that you need. No more sorting through this stuff to try to figure out what you're supposed to be measuring. It will also tell you how many times that word appears on each page. So it looks like it's on this page 13 times. I can literally just click on that. It's going to highlight it for me and let me know where it's at. The other thing that our system is doing, when we load these in, we're scanning for words to pull those up for you. We're also scanning for every single detail that's listed in here. We're highlighting it in blue and automatically linking it to that page. So you guys don't have to look at this page and sort through 100 other pages to try to find what it's referring to. All you have to do is click on it. It's going to pull it up in another window and let you know exactly what it's talking about. So that saved me 5 minutes right there. That's button number 1. Second button, I think of this as the fun button. Here's where we get to actually get in the software, start coloring on those plan pages. It's going to spit all of our totals out into the reports tab. And then last step here just wraps everything up for us. It's going to spit you out an estimate for you to hand your customer. It'll have your company logo on it. It'll let you control how much profit you're actually going to make on the project and just really help you kind of identify how much money you're making, what your waste percentage is, all that. Last button, I like to share this just because you guys are busy. You're running around from the field trying to keep the crews in line. You're doing all this. It's nice to be able to be in multiple places at once. Here's how you do that. Turn on project sharing, copy this link, text it or email it out to some of the people in the field, maybe another project manager. They can view this on their phones, their iPads, their laptops. They can see your instructions and changes, but they cannot mess up your work. So your work's protected, but your crew is still updated. They know what's going on. They still get those changes that you're making, even if you're in a different state or on vacation in a different country. They've got those updates. Cool. All right, let's jump in. Actually start doing the fun stuff here. Let's start doing a takeoff. So first step, we're going to do a takeoff. We're going to do a new takeoff. Takeoff name is going to be exactly what we're measuring. So I'm just going to call this tile, but you guys can get as specific as you want, 2x2 tile, put whatever you want in here. Our measurement type for this is going to be area, but if you guys look at this, we have all of these measurement types listed here. If you can measure it or count it, Stack can do it. So whether you guys are doing roofing, tile, any type of flooring, drywall, paint, there hasn't been a single trade that people have thrown at us that we can't do. So if you can measure it or count it, we got you. All right, measurement type for this one, going to be area. Description, if we want to plug in more details, you can do it. Our color, let's make this something nice and bright so we can see it. So we'll start measuring. This is going to have me set my scale, which I saw down here. Looks like 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. Now, there are two ways that we can do this. We can calibrate it with a known distance, or we can grab our standard scale. I get the question, how do we know if the architect gave us the right scale? You do have tools in here to check the scale and then update it. I've seen here and there where the scale is just totally off. They'll have a standard 3-foot doorway is like 9 feet. So you can check that and update it to make sure your numbers are as accurate as possible. From here, it is literally a coloring book. So all we're doing is 1 click to start, 1 click to turn, and then on this last corner, I'll double click to end. It'll lock that whole line in place for me. So 1 click to start, 1 click to turn, and we are literally just going to go around those rooms that have tile. I always get the question, where's the save button? What if I lose this work? Everything saves after every single click to the cloud. There is no save button in here, doesn't exist. So if my computer totally crashes on me right now, I can log on to Suzanne's computer, everything down to my last click is going to be saved for us. So no need to worry about computers dying, having to run real quick. You've got it. So let's hit our finish measuring button. This is going to spit me out all my totals, 617 square feet. A nice thing that Stack does for you, if I hover over this, it's going to give me a room-specific breakdown. So it'll give me my area of that room. Check out, it's also giving me my linear measurement. So I don't have to go back and do a whole nother measurement for my baseboard or my trim. I've already got it. I've got all my linear, I've got all my area for all the tile that I need. So it's always going to throw you a couple different measurements just in case you can use them. Cool. Let's go ahead and do another measurement type here. Let's do walls. Let's do a new takeoff, and I'll just do interior walls on this one. Measurement type, the only difference is we're going to use surface area. This one will let us put the heights of our walls in, and it'll do the rest of the calculating for us. So we'll do surface area. Our color, let's make it a bright green. We're measuring. This is going to ask me for the height of these walls. I know that these walls are 9 feet, so I plug that in. Same thing, 1 click to start, 1 click to turn, double click wherever I want to end. Double click. I'll throw a little bit more on here. We'll finish our measuring. If we are doing any type of counting, so doors, outlets, light fixtures, whatever it may be. Same process, we'll count up a couple doors here. Takeoff name, door, measurement type, it's gonna be a count. Let's make this brighter, we'll do a pink check mark. We'll start our measuring. You're literally just able to place these check marks. Cool. We'll finish our measuring. Now, after we start running a couple takeoffs through here, we're gonna have a lot going on the plan page. So one of my favorite things, just to kind of help organize everything, is over here on the right, we've got these markup tools. So we can come in here and highlight certain things. We can put text on here for the crews, dimension lines. The legend box is my favorite. So we can draw this anywhere. But the nice thing about this is it stays up to date with us at all times. So if I decide I want to come back in here and I want to add on hardwood floors, I'll do a new takeoff. I'll do hardwood floors. I'll do an area measurement, and I'll just throw them real big in this room right here. Whoops. Start our measuring. I'll just throw it right here. Check out my legend box. It's immediately going to update with all of my numbers. So anything I add on here, my numbers are immediately updated, which is nice because if you had sent that share link out to the crew 2 weeks ago when you started the job, they've already got the update. You don't have to print anything off. You don't have to call them. They can see you making those changes already. They've got the most updated numbers. Cool. All right, so anything you can countermeasure, we can do. Next step is going to figure out how much actual material we need and how much labor it's going to take to get the job done. So what we want to do is attach the material and labor onto what we've drawn so far, and we'll stick with our interior walls here. So down at the bottom, we've got options to add on items and assemblies. We'll go into our stack assemblies folder. And by the way, we have all of these trades built out. This is like just our common trades. If there's ever something that we're missing, we can always add it in here. You can add it in here. But we give you every single one of these catalogs. Most places will charge you a couple $1,000s for concrete, couple $1,000s for masonry. We give you all of them. Use whatever you guys want in here. So for our walls, we're going to go into our finishes. And for my walls, I could add on everything right now. I could do my framing, I could do my insulation, I could do my paint, my primer, everything all in one. But for today, let's just stick with adding on framing. And I'm going to do metal framing for this one. So we'll do our non-structural metal framing. And I'll grab my 9-foot framing. We'll add this on. So this is just going to ask us a couple questions. We only will ever have to fill this out once. It's going to save your company preferences. So our stud spacing in inches, let's say we're going to do 16 inches on center. Our waste factor, let's say we're going to do 10% waste. Our metal framing productivity linear feet per hour. On average, a crew can get done about 25 linear feet per hour to account for our doors, our corners, all of that. So let's plug that in. RC channel spacing, if you guys are doing this for some of those bigger jobs, and this goes for any trade, so it's going to let you get real specific and down to the nitty gritty of it. You can fill it out if you're doing it, you can skip it if you're not, but let's say we're going to do our RC channel spacing for some of those larger buildings. Our stud height, we know, is 9. And then that's just going to prompt you to fill out your material. So for every trade, we've tried to think of just about anything you guys could possibly need in here. We've built out all of these materials. Again, if we're ever lacking something, maybe you guys have a real unique material that you're using, add it in, it'll save for you. So for this, we'll do our 3 5/8 20 gauge. Our top and bottom track, same thing, we can do 3 5/8 20 gauge. It's going to remind you about your crew. Let's say we're going to have 4 carpenters on the crew to install this. And then if you're doing your RC channel, you can plug this in. And then our labor, we're going to do furring to install. So we'll go ahead and save that. Now, the great thing about Stack is you only ever have to do something once. So if I add this to my company library, anyone could come in here next week from my company, next year. All I have to do is load in a project, go to my library tab. Everything that I have that I commonly use is already pre-built out for me. I don't have to mess with creating it every time. So I could come in here to my interior walls, hit go, and just start coloring. My material's already attached, my labor's already attached. You guys would be able to spit out bids so much faster because all you have to do is get in here and color. The system already knows what you use. So all of this is just funneling together and calculating for us in the background. If I go up to my reports tab, this is going to sort everything that I have. So top 3 reports are just going to be our measurements, our square footage, our linear footage. Bottom 4 reports are going to be a little bit more exciting. This is literally just seconds to generate our different lists. We've got our material, labor, a summary, and subcontract. So of course, this would be your pricing plugged in here. I plugged in a couple random prices here, but you plug in your pricing once, it saves for you. You can update it as you go. You get in better with your supplier, cool, you can update that pricing, make it a little bit cheaper. All of this turns into our final estimate. So if we go into our estimate tab here, what we want to do is create a new material and labor estimate. And I'll explain this pop-up to everybody. So we've still got our sections, right? We've got our labor section, our material section, subcontract, and any non-measured costs, the things that we forget about and we underbid the job, things like dumpsters and travel time and restrooms. We can add all that in so we're not underbidding and losing money. So our waste, we can plug in our waste here. If you guys are always doing the same waste, by the way, we can just have this pre-filled so you don't have to type it in every time. Our quantities, our pricing would already be filled out here. If it's not, we can just plug in our pricing last minute. I'll plug in a couple random prices here for us. Our dumpster, let's say we want to do 200 bucks for it. And then our waste or our overhead percentage. Let's say we want to do 15% overhead for our company. So this is telling me 2 things. This thing is the alert that popped up. This is the business saver. So this is actually the reason we were built. Quick story about Phil, the guy who created us. He used to do commercial roofs. He would estimate those flat TPO roofs by hand. Forgot 1 layer, almost cost him his entire business. That's why we were created. So this is going to pop up and say, hey, Melvin, you forgot to charge for your tile on your door. You might want to charge for that. So it's going to remind you if you forgot to put money on something. It's going to let you know, hey, you probably want to charge for this so that you're not giving tile away for free in this job. It's going to have your back and not let you forget to put your money on it. The other thing it's telling you is how much it's going to cost you to run the project. Now, obviously, we're all here to make a profit. So that's the fun part. That's my favorite part to teach everybody because this is going to let you figure out how much money you're going to make on the project. So if we do a new proposal, this is going to open up your money section, your markup, at where you're actually putting money in the pocket. So let's mark up everything by 15%. Same thing, if y'all are always doing 15%, we'll just have it saved here for you. 15%. Overhead costs, additional markup. It'll also remind you to do your sales tax. So let's say 7.5 for all of our sections here. We do break it down like material and labor so that you guys can charge different tax for these different sections if you have to. So this is going to tell us, all right, here's our project cost. Here's what we're going to sell it for. Here's how much % profit you're going to make on this project. So if you guys have goals for your company to hit 20% profit every single project, you can come back here and adjust these numbers. You control what money you bring in. So let's adjust this to 11%. That meets us with our 20% profit. So you have complete control over what you're putting back into the business for each and every project. Once you have this exactly how you want it, all you have to do is hit download proposal. Top section is already going to be pre-filled with your information. So I'll let you all peek at it. We'll have our company logo, our company name already pre-filled, who you're sending it to, your scope of work for that job, your terms and conditions. We'll save this. Bottom section is you choosing how much information you want to give these guys. Do you want to give them a labor and material subtotal? Do you want to give them a full material list? I'll download all of it so you guys can see what it looks like. So this would be your bigger company logo up here. Your project information, who you're going to send it to. If you chose to select that box for your labor and material subtotals, this would be here. If not, it would not. our taxes, your scope, your terms, and then if you checked the box to share your material section, this would be on here. If not, this back page would not be here. So you can kind of customize this to make it look however you want it to look so that you can send this over, get your signature. The nice thing about this is your signature will stay on file. You can go back 6 years ago and figure out how much you charged Sally to install the tile on in her basement. You can also install it in the kitchen. So you'll have this stuff on file so you can go back and easily see it. But that is Stack in a nutshell, basically. Do you guys have any questions that you'd like to bring up here?
Yeah, this is Mike Neal. I got a couple of questions. Thanks, Hannah. I think it was very simplistic, not to downgrade it, but it was a good proposal. I got a few questions here.
Yeah.
I'm a kind of an estimator too. I've been doing it for a while, but I'm not the best. I'm not going to say I'm the best. A couple of things. You're basing a lot of the assumptions on your man hours, and that's an assumption based upon man hours to do a task. I'm assuming you're doing union wage, or you have to adjust this here for union and non-union when you put together your labor portion of your bid. That's one question. The other question is, how do you adjust for site conditions? Because when you have certain situations where you may have a commercial building or whatever, that you may have to go up and you may have to hoist things from a machine into the window, up to a window to get it out. So you can't do a stairwell because it's too narrow. And then the other thing, there's a different cost factor when you're saying you're putting up 1/2-inch drywall on the wall versus 5/8 on the ceiling. So I'm just saying, I'm throwing stuff out there in terms of some of those things that you had to look at, even with mobilization, in terms of being able to get the job prepared, identify your materials. You got to go to the store, you got to shop, all those things in there. And I don't necessarily know if the 15% would actually cover those things. So I just wanted to kind of get clarity on how you put those adjustment factors in there to cover for some of those things that are not, I don't see in your menu, your item menu, if you will.
Absolutely wonderful question. Thank you for asking that. So first of all, the percentages, they are so different even from trade to trade. I know some of my demolition guys, they mark things up by 55%, whereas with drywall, you're doing 15%. And that even varies from company to company. So this will allow you to customize what you see fit for your business and get it in here. So that's another thing that we are very well known for, is just being able to customize it. That also brings up the first question you had about the union and non-union pricing. You can actually build in here your union pricing versus your non-union pricing, so that as those jobs change and pivot, you can change and pivot with them without going through a million hoops to jump through to change your pricing. So this would be customized out to you. I have people build out union, non-union, so many different things in here. So that's an option. The other thing with equipment, I'm glad you said that, because that is one of the examples that I forgot to mention in here. You can add in any additional equipment fees in this. So if we want to add in equipment, maybe it's some type of lift, maybe you rent that by the day, you can update all of this. So you're not forgetting those additional things. So whether you were doing it by hand before and just kind of writing down, this is not going to fit in through the door, we're going to have to take it up the window, we're going to need some extra equipment, you can have that in here now. The other thing that I'm really glad you mentioned is you have to pivot. You have new plans coming in, you have addendas and revisions, and they've changed up the whole job on you. So with this, you do not have to go back and start over. What you can do is use our overlay feature. And what that does, it lets you have your old page, but it's going to let you smack that new page on top of it. It's going to highlight exactly what's different for you so that you know if something was added, if something was taken off, so that you can make those little adjustments and tweaks. Maybe there's some more windows and some more drywall, or maybe they took something off. It's going to update your totals here for you. So it'll help you identify those differences there. No matter how many times they send you those revisions and changes. Can be a lot sometimes.
So Hannah,
Thank you for those questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for those questions. I have a couple of other questions from the chat box. Does this software integrate with Building Connect?
Great question. So our software, we are not directly integrated with an API into Building Connected. We are integrated with quite a few programs on the front end and on the back end as far as project management, our Procores, our Builder Trends. But even if we're not integrated, the nice thing about this is we have designed it so that you can plug it in with anything. So you're Building Connected. If you export this to your CSV file, we did this strategically. CSV files are the most widely accepted file around the world. So as long as they take that CSV file, you can actually plug this in. So it's not going to be a direct integration into your Building Connected, but you can pull out all of your information and still plug it in there.
Another question.
May I ask a question?
Let me finish with the questions that were previously asked, and then I will open it up. The next
Yes, ma'am, I'm
question,
sorry.
how does the cost get added? They think that they missed when you went through that example.
Good question. So the cost is actually added, and let me grab an example so I can show everybody here. It's added through our items catalog. So for example, if I want to do this 3 5/8 20 gauge track, I'll show you where I get this from. So if I go up into my items, you can quickly cruise through here and just plug in all your pricing. But for this example, I'll pull this one up. It's just this little form that saves it. So let's say I want to charge 85 cents now. We'll save that. That's going to be saved in your company library for forever until you update it. So a lot of your work for plugging in costs will be back here in your items tab. Great question. We didn't cover that.
Great, thank you. Okay, I can open it up. Who had another question? Do you want to speak it or put it in the chat box?
I would like to speak it.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Where would I find the architect specs as far as notes for different applications? Because it says something about materials to use, but maybe the architect is specifically wanting us to use his application for it to be done. Could be sort of like waterproofing for flooring or shower basins and stuff like that. Because I don't want to add my own, I don't want to add the price of my own materials in while he is specifically asking for something that needs to be done for a specific application.
Exactly. So that's kind of like a two-part question. First part is, how do we find that? Because you guys are sorting through a million things. The easiest thing to do is going to be able to search for specs or search for schedule, whatever it is you're looking for, pull it up, and then you can see exactly what they're looking for in that project, the type of material you're looking for, so that as you're doing that takeoff, you know what type of material. But yeah, that's going to allow you to select the correct things from our drop downs. As far as like if we were doing electrical, you know what type of conduit they want to use, you know all of those things based on that schedule. So this plan search is going to be your best friend for that, for identifying what they actually want, because sometimes they'll get super specific in there. Your plan search will let you figure out what they want.
Thank you. That was it. That was the most important thing I could think of right now. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
I have a question, Sean Brown. Do you have an example of a initial project that has an addendum where you can overlay a revision to the drawing so I can see what you're referring to?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me load in another plan page here. It's going to be the same plan page that we were working on, but you guys will be able to see the difference. So I'm going to grab a new page. Normally this would be labeled revision just to make life a little bit easier. And I'm actually going to rename this for us. So process is GC or whoever sends you over this new page. What we need to do is figure out what the difference in these pages are. So typically this would be renamed revision for us. So let me rename my page here. We'll call it revision. So if I'm looking at my original page and I've got this new plan, all I have to do is hit this overlay button. It's going to let me grab my revised plan. It'll line it up with it right on top. And I'm going to move it just a little bit so you guys can see the difference if it wasn't lined up. So the trick is red is dead, blue is new. So anything that's blue is going to be new construction that they added on. If it's red, it means they're taking it off. So you can easily see what the difference is, and then you can line it back up. So say this room's going to be extended. You can just easily go back in here, change your shapes, stretch things out to make it fit that.
See. Okay.
This has been really popular. So even if you have, like, maybe they send you 3 more, you can just keep stacking them on top here, and it'll keep letting you know what the differences are.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
What kind of training do we?
Did that answer your question fully?
Yes, it did. One more question, if I may, in terms of training that you offer for the program. Is it some online training that you offer to the estimators of the company, or how does the training of the program work?
Great question. So our training that's probably the biggest thing that we're known for as far as our reviews go, because we want to make sure you're successful in here. So we actually, let me show you guys this. Once we get you signed up with a subscription, we schedule you for 2, sometimes 3 training sessions. This is not like, hey, good luck in there. It's one-on-one. Let's talk about your projects. Let's talk about your business. Let's get your things saved in here. So they're wonderful. They taught me everything that I know, and I didn't know what a blueprint was when I started here. So they're wonderful. You get this. And then you also have on-demand training as far as like our video sections go. We run a live chat every day from about 7:30 a.m. to about 5:30 at night. So you can chat in with quick questions. We've got a full support team based out of Cincinnati, Ohio here to help you out, make sure you're feeling good and knocking out projects in there.
Okay. Is it limited based on your subscription, or I can bug you guys every day if I wanted to?
So you can chat in every day. The limited things are going to be the one-on-one trainings. But yeah, you can chat in every day. We'll get you hooked up with videos and any answers to any questions that you need. The only thing that's going to be limited is the number of the one-on-one hour-long sessions that you have.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So before I ask this next question, I just want to make sure that all of the actual usage questions have been asked, so people have a good sense of how it works before I go to the next question. We have about 10 more minutes, I'd say, to get to that point. So how would I create an estimate if the client isn't working off of it went away. Sorry. How would I create an estimate if the client isn't working off a set of plans, but a general scope of work?
Okay, so you have to have a digital blueprint to run Stack. That's the only requirement for it. You have to have something that's to scale so that you can actually measure on it. That's the one requirement for the system. You'll have to have a PDF or a blueprint of some kind.
So that's my question I have. My name is Bionaville Brooks, and I'm with Sean Brown also.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
No? All right.
But I can hear you better now.
Okay. My name is Bionaville Brooks, and I'm with Sean Brown also. My question is, you were talking about how you can connect these with the different software, but suppose you just download the information to your computer, the blueprint. Can I grab that blueprint from there and attach it to this system and work it that way?
Great question. You can. We have all of these things that we're plugged into, Dropbox, Google Drive, all the things that you can pull it over from. I still keep everything on my desktop. So yeah, if you've got something on your desktop, you can still upload it into the system. We accept anything from anywhere.
Yes, good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So Hannah, another question has to do with the subscription. Do you want to get into talking a little bit about the trial, the purchase price? They want to know what happens to the files since it is a cloud-based. At the end of the period of the subscription ends, what happens to their files that they've had saved in the cloud?
Yeah, good question. So to answer the last question first, everything is going to be saved in here for you forever as long as you're a subscriber with us. If for some reason after that year term, you're like, you know what, I don't even want to be in the construction industry anymore, I want to start up a whole other business, you have 30 days to get those projects out. But then we don't pay for that additional cloud storage anymore. So you always have your projects on file until something changes and you decide to not be with us anymore for whatever reason. You have a couple days to get your projects out, but other than that, you've got unlimited cloud storage forever. The trial, yes. So everyone in here would love to see you guys sign up for a 7-day trial. That'll let you get in here, load in a couple projects, do a couple measurements, just get comfortable with it and see if it's something that fits you and your business. So jump in. I'll have Suzanne send the link out for that in the email that she sends to follow up. The other thing that I'd like to pull up, and this visual makes it a lot easier for you to tell what package is going to be best for you.
Can I play now?
What? You should have been playing. I ain't
So-
used to-
Somebody's
shouldn't have been on that long.
mute all. Somebody, I can hear you.
A lot of our customers are going to start with this Grow package with 3 full access users, 6 view only. But a lot of times if you are taking on all that work yourself and you're the main estimator and you're the one running the show and you don't have anyone else to put that extra work on right now, this Start